It's 1807, and Napoleon's Grand Army marches across Europe, flanked by thousands of soldiers carrying flintlock muskets and backed up by the thunder of cannon artillery. French infantry advances in tight formations, their Charleville muskets ready to fire coordinated volleys at enemy lines just 100 yards away. It's the tactic that Napoleon has used to conquer most of Europe, and he's confident it will work again today. Then, something impossible happens. High above the battlefield at 50,000 feet, completely invisible to every soldier below, a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber releases its payload. 80 precision-guided JDAM bombs streak toward the battlefield. Napoleon's entire artillery battery, the pride of his military strategy, disappears in a series of explosions that shake the earth for miles. The French emperor has never seen anything like it. Neither has anyone else alive in 1807. That's because the bombs came from a B-2 Spirit, a stealth bomber that wouldn't enter service until 1997. The triangular aircraft carries 40,000 pounds of weapons, flies faster than 630 miles per hour, and operates completely undetected by any technology that exists in Napoleon's world. Before the smoke clears from the first strike, the stealth bomber has already moved on to its next target. But Napoleon will never see what hit him. Napoleon's desperate response. Napoleon is furious. His best artillery crews have been wiped out by something nobody can see or hear coming. His officers describe impossible stories of explosions falling from clear skies, with no enemy cannons in sight and no attacking army anywhere on the horizon. The emperor knows this is impossible. Artillery has a maximum range of maybe 1,500 yards, and you can always see the smoke from cannon fire. So he does what any logical military commander would do in 1807. He orders his infantry to spread out and scan the skies for enemy aircraft. Except there's one small problem with that plan. Aircraft won't be invented for another 100 years. The French soldiers are equipped with Charleville muskets that can fire about 200 yards if you're lucky. The bayonet attached to each musket is actually more reliable than the gun itself in most combat situations. Against a B-2 stealth bomber flying at 50,000 feet, these muskets might as well be throwing rocks. The stealth bomber operates at an altitude that's literally 10 times higher than the maximum effective range of the most advanced weapons Napoleon's army possesses. Even if somehow a musket ball could travel that high, which it absolutely cannot, the soldiers would never even see their target. The Grand Battery becomes the grand disaster. Realizing his infantry is useless against this mystery threat, Napoleon turns to his artillery, the backbone of his military success. The French army's cannons are the most advanced in Europe, capable of firing 12-pound iron balls up to 1,500 yards with decent accuracy. But the technology gap becomes almost comical. The B-2 stealth bomber doesn't just fly higher than Napoleon's cannons can reach. It's completely invisible to them. Even if the French army somehow knew exactly where the stealth bomber was flying, their cannons would be like trying to hit a bird with a rock while blindfolded. Impossible. The stealth bomber, meanwhile, can target individual cannons with precision-guided munitions from distances Napoleon's army can't even imagine. Each JDAM bomb can be programmed to hit specific targets with accuracy measured in feet, not yards. While Napoleon's artillery crews are panicking and trying to figure out where to aim, the B-2 is systematically destroying every cannon on the battlefield without ever coming within 40,000 feet of danger. Napoleon watches helplessly as his prized artillery disappears piece by piece. His Grand Battery tactic becomes the grand disaster as explosions erupt around cannons that were perfectly safe just seconds before. Now, his remaining artillery crews have no idea what they're supposed to be shooting at, but they'll keep trying anyway. Cavalry charges against the invisible. In desperation, Napoleon unleashes his cavalry, the elite mounted soldiers who have charged across European battlefields for centuries. These horsemen can move fast, strike hard, and retreat quickly. Surely they can find and attack whatever is destroying his army. The French cavalry gallops across the battlefield, sabers raised and ready to charge whatever enemy they can find. They're magnificent soldiers, capable of covering ground at 30 miles per hour and equipped with pistols, sabers, and pure courage. But you know that it's absolute foolishness because against a stealth bomber moving at 630 miles per hour at an altitude of 50,000 feet, the cavalry charge looks like an elaborate parade. The horses can't fly, the sabers can't reach aircraft that don't exist yet, and the pistols have an effective range measured in dozens of feet, not miles. The B-2 can see them perfectly, Its advanced radar systems can track every horse on the battlefield while remaining completely undetectable to the soldiers below. The stealth bomber doesn't even need to use its most powerful weapons. A few small-diameter bombs can scatter entire cavalry formations without the bomber ever appearing on any horizon. Napoleon's cavalry charges valiantly toward an enemy they cannot see, cannot reach, and cannot fight. It's the complete breakdown of military intelligence. The French emperor built his empire on superior tactics, better information, and faster decision-making than his enemies. He always knows where enemy forces are positioned, how they're equipped, and what they're planning to do next. Against a stealth bomber, Napoleon knows absolutely nothing. He can't see it coming, can't track where it goes, and it can't predict where it will strike next. His entire military strategy depends on understanding the battlefield, but there's literally no technology in 1807 that could detect a stealth aircraft. Completely helpless. The B-2 pilot, meanwhile, has perfect battlefield intelligence. Modern radar systems show the location of every soldier, every cannon, and every horse within hundreds of miles. The stealth bomber can plan surgical strikes against the most important targets while avoiding any area where French forces might pose even minor danger. Napoleon is outgunned and fighting blind against an enemy that can see everything, but he won't give up that easily. The search for phantom airfields. Napoleon realizes that this invisible enemy needs to land somewhere, refuel somehow, and reload its weapons eventually. Even mysterious sky demons need supplies. So the emperor does something clever. He starts targeting every possible location where enemy aircraft might be hiding. French forces spread out across hundreds of miles, searching for secret enemy bases, hidden airfields, or magical flying castles. The problem is that airfields won't be invented until aircraft are invented, which won't happen for another century. Napoleon is searching for something that doesn't exist to find an enemy that comes from a time period he couldn't imagine. Another impossible task. Meanwhile, the B-2 stealth bomber has a range of 6,000 miles without refueling. It can strike French positions, fly completely out of Europe, refuel at bases that won't be built for almost 200 years, and return for another attack before Napoleon's search parties have even figured out what they're looking for. The stealth bomber doesn't need an airfield in 1807 Europe. It can operate from anywhere in the world and still reach any target on Napoleon's continent. While French soldiers are searching every barn and hilltop for secret enemy bases, the B-2 is probably refueling in a location that won't be discovered by Europeans for decades. But Napoleon doesn't know that yet. The devastating reality. Things get devastating for the French emperor. The stealth bomber would absolutely crush Napoleon's military capabilities. Every artillery battery, every supply depot, every command center, and every major troop concentration would be vulnerable to precision strikes that Napoleon couldn't counter, predict, or prevent. The psychological impact alone would be crushing. Imagine trying to maintain army morale when soldiers know they can be killed by invisible forces at any moment. Napoleon could just stand and watch all this and even hope for one bomb to land on his head. But there's small relief for Napoleon. The B-2 can only carry so many weapons. Even with 40,000 pounds of bombs, it can't destroy every French soldier in Europe. After each mission, it needs to fly away to rearm and refuel, giving Napoleon's forces time to adapt, spread out, and continue their campaigns in smaller groups. The strategic implications. The stealth bomber would force a complete change in military tactics. Large army formations would become suicide missions, so warfare would shift to smaller units operating independently. Major battles would become impossible, but guerrilla warfare might actually increase. Napoleon might lose his ability to fight major European powers directly, but the Napoleonic Wars involved millions of soldiers across dozens of countries. One stealth bomber, no matter how advanced, couldn't be everywhere at once. So could a single B-2 stealth bomber actually change the outcome of the Napoleonic Wars? The answer is both yes and no. It would end Napoleon's ability to fight traditional European warfare, but it might not end his ability to conquer Europe through different means. The technology gap is so vast that it represents less of a military advantage and more of a fundamental shift in the nature of warfare itself. Napoleon would be forced to completely reimagine military strategy, abandoning everything that made him successful and adapting to threats that shouldn't exist in his world. What do you think? Could a single B-2 stealth bomber actually end the Napoleonic Wars? Or would Napoleon find ways to adapt to this ultimate military threat? Share your thoughts in the comments, and then go watch other exciting what-if topics that may even make you confused for life.